Hello, I'm Julie from the Byron Public Library, and we're going to work on our gratitude jars project. But to get us started with that, I thought I'd read us a book. It's called Apple Cake, A Gratitude. What does gratitude mean? Let's see. So she says, thank you, hedge. Thank you, tree. Thank you, flower. Thank you, bee. Thank you, rain. Thank you, sun. Thank you, farmers, everyone. Thank you, cows. Thank you, hens. Oops, my page stuck. Okay. Thank you, family. Thank you, friends. Thank you, earth beneath our feet. Thank you for the food we eat. Hedge and tree, flower and bee, cows and hens, family, friends, earth and water, fresh fire and air. Thank you for the gifts we share. Thank you for the food we make. Thank you all for apple cake. Okay, so that is a book about being thankful or gratitude. So that's what our project is today. We're going to make a gratitude jar, and then we're going to fill it with thankful thoughts. And you can see that in the book, she had some things she was thankful for: her family, bees, the apple cake. So just think about those things. You probably have maybe some of the same, some different. But right now I'm going to go over how we're going to do our project. So for the first part of our project, you'll want something to work on. I just am going to use this tray so I can hold this in my lap. For the first part, you'll need your jar. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take off the lid, and then you want to separate the two parts. This piece you don't need right now. You can set it aside. We're going to be working with this piece and our jar to start with, but we're going to start with our jar. And then you'll also need your foam brush. And then you have a little container in your kit, and it's labeled Mod Podge, and you'll need to get that out. And then you'll also need from home just a tiny bit of water. You don't need a lot, just a little container. Something that won't tip over would be best. And then you'll need, there's a sandwich bag in there that has a bunch of tissue paper. You have squares and you have leaves. It would be a good idea to get those out and kind of spread them out a little bit so you can see the different colors, so that will help you make your choices. Your hands might get a little bit sticky with this, so you want to be able to see everything and not have them stick to your fingers, okay? So to start with, I'm holding this jar because I'm showing you on camera, but you should set it on your work surface like so, and I'm gonna hold this up so you can see. There's a rim around the top where the lid goes on, and that part we do not want to cover up. So that's a good thing to do. You'll set this in front of you, and you can put one hand inside your jar, and you can hold the lip with your thumb, and that will allow you to turn your jar around so that you can decorate every side of it. Okay, so to begin with, the Mod Podge is sort of like glue, but it smells a little funny, and it's a bit thick. So we just want to dip our brush in the water just a little bit, and then dip it in our Mod Podge. That'll just make it a little bit easier to work with, okay? And you're gonna work a section at a time. So you're gonna brush a little bit on here, and then you're gonna choose some paper to put down. Try just to touch the paper so you don't get too sticky. Then we're gonna dip in water again, dip in the Mod Podge, and we have to go over it. So everything needs 2 coats. It needs to be decorated underneath and then on top. So dip in water, dip in the Mod Podge, brush some on. I think I'm gonna put a leaf right here. So I might need a little bit more because that's kind of big, but you can always add more, okay? So I'm gonna take the leaf and I'm gonna put that on and just tap it lightly. And I can see down here I didn't get enough underneath, but so I'm gonna cover that again. And again, I wanna make sure my entire leaf is covered. Okay, so there we go. So you're gonna go all the way around your jar and you're gonna decorate as much as you want with the tissue and the leaves. And then you also need to do your lid, the shiny side of your lid. You're going to want to use the smaller pieces for that because the leaves will be too big. So it'll be the same technique. You're gonna dip a little bit in the water. You're gonna brush, you can kind of brush a lot of this on at a time. And then you're going to put these on top. And you're just gonna alternate back and forth between. This is a little trickier because it's a little slippery and it's also, so don't worry about if some of the tissue is sticking off the side. At the end, when it's dry, we can go around and just trim it off. So you're gonna go ahead and layer. So you wanna layer your different colors and cover this. And then we need to set that stuff aside to dry. So I'm gonna put you would obviously finish doing the entire project. So that'll take a little bit of time. So the next step is to work on our tag. You have a heart in your kit. It's made out of watercolor paper. You have a little container like this that says use for tag, which contains liquid watercolors. And then you will need to find your small brush. Your brush might look a little bit different. And then what you're going to do is you're going to paint this heart. You don't need a lot. You probably won't even use all of the liquid watercolors that I gave you, but just dab and we're gonna paint, okay? You're just gonna, and a little bit actually goes a long way. Like you can see I have this on my heart and I haven't even dipped it again, and I'm just rubbing it all over the paper and it's almost covering the whole piece of paper. I might not even need to dip my brush again, maybe one more time. Just a little bit more maybe for up here, okay? If you get a lot, you can see it gets pretty watery. So that's why if you don't use too much, it'll dry a lot faster because you're gonna do this side and then you're gonna let it dry, but blow on it a little bit. It really doesn't take that long. Flip it over and paint the other side. Then you're gonna set that aside to dry. So we have our jar drying and we have our heart drying. And while that is happening, we're going to get out our pieces of paper. So you have some cards like this, and you have all different colors. And this is what you're going to use to write your gratitudes on, or things you're thankful for. You can draw a picture, you can write a word, you can fold these in half if you'd like to and write things all over, or you can fold them and someone has to open them to see a picture or a word of what you're thankful for. It's your choice. You can use all of these or just a few of them. But just think about things that you're thankful or grateful for. And you can use a marker, you can use a pencil, you can use a Sharpie, a colored pencil, crayons, anything that you have, pens to draw with. You can use all of those materials if you like to make them really colorful. So that's gonna take a little bit of time and you don't have to do that all at once. Maybe you think of a few things today and then later on this evening or tomorrow you think of a few more things you'd like to add to your gratitude jar, and you can do that. That is totally fine. So once you've started that, let's pretend now my jar is dry. My heart is dry. And here's a heart I painted a little bit earlier. So then we're going to take, I'm using a Sharpie, but you can use just anything. We're gonna write over the top of our heart. You can think of what word you would like to use. You could say gratitude, thankful, grateful for, thank you for. I'm just gonna write gratitude on mine. But you can decide what you would like to write or something else. You could put your name, Julie's gratitude jar. So once you've come up with what word you'd like, you're going to get, you have some yarn in your kit, and that's just loosely tied together. You can pull it apart. And then what you'll want to do is make sure all the ends are even. And this can be a little bit tricky. You might need a little bit of help, but we're gonna string all three of those through, and one of mine got a little stuck. Okay, through our heart. And then what you wanna do is you wanna pull it kind of to the middle like this, okay? You're gonna pull it to the middle, and then you're just going to, my lights just went out, so I have to stand up and turn those back on. Sorry about that. So then you're just gonna tie it one time like this. So then it's attached. We're gonna pretend my jar is all decorated and dry. It's actually still wet. So I'm just going to wrap it around the other side. So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna wrap this around the outside. So your heart is hanging there. And then you're going to tie this on. You'll wanna do a knot so it stays, okay? So then it'll have the gratitude. Once everything's dry, and that might take, I would just wait till the end of the day. Then remember, we can trim around this. Then you'll put the lid back together. You will put your thankful thoughts into your jar, and then you'll put the lid on. And it's a fun project to do from time to time. You can share with your family and friends. You can get it out and read and think about things that you're thankful for, and then you can just add to it from time to time too. So I hope you enjoy this project. Thanks for joining me.